Okay, so it's my first presentation, first video. Things are bound to go wrong. The point to this is really to test out the video equipment, take you for a quick tour around your Blackboard. So this is me, Ian, and this is Gary. I'm going to be delivering the stress, and Gary's going to be delivering your dynamics. And look, we've got already a little welcome message here from me, and I'm telling you that your stress is going to be the first part that you're going to study, and that you'll do your dynamics after January. What else have we got here? So there will be stress and dynamics folders. So that'll be all you need to look at, your stress folders before Christmas, and you'll start doing your dynamic stuff after Christmas. There's a module handbook which is kind of online. We'll have a look at that in a minute. We've got a stress module schedule up already, and you should be looking in your week 0 folder before your tutorial, really, and also before your lecture, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. There's a stress course notes book which is over 220 pages long, so don't print it, because when you go to your tutorial you'll be given a copy of that. So that's the announcements. Let's have a look at module introduction and see what it says here. So we're talking about the module, talking about that there's a stress component A, a dynamics component B, and the marks are split 50-50 between the two modules. Here we got the learning outcomes. You can have a look at them. We're going to be using Blackboard, or certainly I'm going to be using Blackboard a lot, so you're going to have to get used to that. And the way that we're going to do things is there'll be a 1-hour lecture once a week and a 2-hour tutorial. You should be doing, I don't think we're saying here, but you should be doing, I think, around about 4 to 6 hours on top of that. For assessments, mainly it's exams in January, and so both exams are worth 40%, so that gives you 80%. And then for both components, the stress component and dynamics component, we have online tests. Okay, so for stress there's 2 batches of online tests, and for dynamics there's typically 3. Then we have some syllabus here for the stress bit, and the syllabus there for the dynamics bit, so that's our introduction. Our handbook kind of repeats some of this stuff, but we've got some oh, that's not fair, I have to change that. Gary's all in big and bold. There's poor me. So there's our contact details for rooms and telephones and so on. Send us an email if you need to contact us about anything. We've got the tutor team here for the stress and for the dynamics people. JJ, cool name. And I've got a bit about introduction. It's kind of repeating before, isn't it? So then we've got the syllabus. Okay, so this is new. We got a timetable here. So yeah, so when we're going to be doing things. So if you've got tutorial on Friday, you will have a tutorial with me, and then there's Nuri, who will be doing Mondays, Tuesdays sort of split. We got Amir on Wednesdays, and then we've got everyone there on Thursday there, so depends which session you get. When you do your tutorial, very important is to, well, you won't be doing this for week 0 because you'll be given it, but bring your course notes book, because that will have problem sheets that you want to be doing during your tutorial. More about assessment there, more about the online assessments, how you should study. So for the stress delivery, things are going to be flipped. Okay, so I don't know if you've come across this concept before of flipped teaching. And how that works is we want you to try and learn things before you go into the lecture theatre, and but not necessarily before your tutorials. So you need to study stuff before your lecture theatre, and you will kind of find your tutorials be more sort of like lagging a week behind. They have a reading list based upon the module specification. Now, to be honest, me and Gary, I think, don't really use these books. The one I would recommend is the Ray Hughes one there. Yeah, that's not on that list. And Gary recommends these books here, so physics for scientists and engineers, mathematics. So Hiblala, or whatever how you pronounce his name. I think he appears up here as well. There you go, Russell's up there. For what we're expecting, yeah, we're expecting you to set aside about 6 hours a week for self-study. We're expecting you to bring pens, calculator, pen, bloody bloody blah to both your lectures and also your tutorials. For my stress component, Gary's component might be different because I'm doing flipped teaching. It would be nice, not essential, but it would be nice if you could bring some smaller electronic device like a smartphone or a small laptop to your lecture. Don't have to, as I said, but it would be nice. Make it a bit more interactive. After the lecture, you need to be then going towards looking at your weekly folder. So this is for how I'm delivering the stress component. I think Gary will probably be delivering it in a more traditional lecturing style. So let's go back up. So that's our handbook. Let's have a look at the schedule here. So schedule here is what we're doing each week. Okay, so you've got what's happening in the lecture theatre, what you should be studying at home for that particular week. So we've got week 1, so that's what will be our first week. We got our first lecture, and what will happen when you go to your tutorial, you'll be doing a revision sheet. So notice that for your week 1, for example, you're going to be starting to study stuff, but you won't be doing that stuff for that particular week at the tutorial. You'll be doing that the next week there. Can you see? So it drops down from there to there. So the tutorial is always kind of lagging 1 week behind, or pretty much. And also during your tutorials there'll be some sort of some labs to do as well. You can see that that's what we're scheduling our first batch of online tests down there. Okay, so that's our schedule. Learning materials. So we are going to go into the stress one at the top there. So how it works, we got we got the current week. What you should be looking for is the folder always on top here. So we're looking at week 0, and in principle when this is released this should be constructed, shouldn't change, and so you should be going into this this folder here, and that will tell you the stuff that you need to do before you have your lecture. Okay, so the naming convention I've gone for is that the stuff that is happening in week 1, or rather things get sort of signposted at the lecture stage. So week 1, we'll scroll past this for a moment. Week 1 is here. Okay, so week 1 is under construction, and that will then be released to you after the lecture has happened, and it's there that you then jump in. So what happens is that folder will move up to the top here, right underneath the current week, and that will be the stuff that you need to study. What would it be? It would be for well, certainly before your next lecture, that's what you should be doing. Okay, so as an introduction, before you attend your lecture, your very first lecture, you need to be going into this folder and seeing what's in there. And the stress notes here, so this is the important course notes. That's got an embedded view there, so you can just leave it there and scroll through. If you want, you could download it. As I said, you'll be given a hard copy. I think that's a reasonable size there. So you can start looking through the course notes whenever you like, really. So that gives you a kind of tour of the Blackboard. I hope I've kind of explained what I want to try and achieve with the flip lecture style. It's the first time I've tried it, so probably go wrong of places. And certainly tried this out. We'll be trying out different video equipment, different mics as well. So it'd be nice to get feedback, or as a trendy person might call it, feed forward, so that we can improve things as we go along. So on a technical note, I am using a cheap Plantronics mic, a 3.5 millimeter jack one, and I am using HCH video capture software. So if I try other software, other equipment, you can maybe tell me if it's if you think it's giving me better quality or whatnot. So that's one thing you can give me feed forward on. And because your week one here is under construction, you can take a little sneaky preview, if you peek inside that folder, and if you maybe spot a mistake, you certainly get a prize. If you make a very good suggestion that should go into that week one folder before the lecture, yeah, you get a prize. There's loads of prizes to be had. Okay, so that's something to consider. Okay, so that's it, I think, for now.